Hey, class. It's a little bit different of the start of the week, right? Right before fall break, and something happens to the school's internet. Our HVAC system is actually in there, as you'll see when you're actually allowed to go to class. I decorated the room a little bit. Finally, it only took me the entire first trimester, pretty much. But I was in there this morning putting up some pictures and whatnot, and it was hot in that school. So I am glad that since they can't fix it, we are not going in there. Plus, everything we do is online. So if we don't have a working internet, we're probably not going to get far. So I hope that you are going to make the most of Monday and Tuesday. Get some things done, get some work done, get caught up on maybe some things that you haven't done. I'll put this out there now that some of you still have some missing assignments, right? And while it might just be 2 points here or 5 points there, all of that add up. So, I mean, now would be the time to kind of look at what you haven't done and try to get it completed for at least something, right? I mean, a point is better than nothing. Um, Also, I know a lot of you guys commented that you tried to watch Court Cases Friday and you didn't see any on there. So, Monday and Tuesday, your workload in this class is fairly light. You're going to have time to go on and watch a half-hour court case and fill out those questions. They're not difficult. You just need to get on there and do it, learn a little bit about the judges, learn a little bit about the case, and get that filled in. Um, these next 2 days would be a great time to do that if you haven't turned it in. If you can get it turned in by the end of the day Tuesday, even though I said it was due Friday, I will still give you full credit. So please get those done. All right. Plus, we're going to start our mock trial preparation right after fall break. So we'll kind of give you an idea or just another look at what court cases are and what we're going to be doing for those. Today, though, we're going to be looking at illegal agreements. This is kind of fun. All right. So, no legal act, void contract, right? We've already been over this. So, if your contract is over something illegal, contract's going to be voidable. They're unenforceable. Obviously, you're not going to take something that you do that's illegal and try to sue someone over. So, examples of this would be like drug deals, illegal gambling. If you're running a speakeasy in your basement, you're probably not going to want to broadcast that to the courts or the police, right? Illegal prostitution, hiring underage employees, or anything against the fair dealing principles or public policy, right? So again, anything that you do that is illegal that you might have an oral contract over, it's not really a void contract, right? In the eyes of the law. So let's look at some of these. All right. So the first one is illegal lotteries. So in most states, um, they forbid and regulate gambling, right? If there's going to be gambling in a state, we or the government wants to be able to make some profit from it, right? So that's why Indiana allows for casinos. That's why they allow for like the Hoosier Lottery. Um, the state of Indiana makes a ton of money from those things, right? So it goes to help pay for roads and other things within the state that's collecting the money. Um, Illegal gambling agreement is termed illegal lottery. So lotteries and gambling both fall into this category. Now, there's three elements of a lottery, right? So prize, which is something of value for the winner; chance, which is solely by luck; and then consideration, uh, payment to participate. So for it to be considered a lottery, it has to have those three things. There has to be a prize, there has to be some form of luck. It's just not something that you're going to give or make a deal for. In consideration, which means you're paying to do this. There's a term wager, which is the most common form of gambling. It basically means bet or to bet on an uncertain outcome. So it's football season. A lot of us, not you guys, but maybe your parents or older friends, that bet on sporting events. DraftKings, all of those things. That'd be an example of a wager. Um, Again, contracts for illegal lotteries or illegal gambling are void and unenforceable, right? So you can kind of see this mob guy here in the picture of bookie, right? Um, they control it, but what they do is not enforceable in the eyes of the law. Now, if you get in with a bookie illegally and you owe them money, they might not be able to sue you, but you think they're just going to let you keep the money you owe them? Probably not. Probably not, right? So if you're going to gamble, wait until you're old enough. Make sure you're doing it through the right channels, not illegal channels. There's legalized gambling, right? So we kind of talked about that. So in Indiana, we have 16 casinos throughout the state, and again, a portion of those they're taxed by the government, right? So a portion of what the casinos make actually go to the state of Indiana, and that happens with any casino, any legal casino around the country. There's pari mutuel betting. This is where a system in which all bets of a particular type are placed together in a pool. So the best example of pari mutuel would be like horse racing. If you're betting on the Kentucky Derby, another example would be like boxing matches, right? Where you bet on someone, all that money goes into the pool, and it kind of affects the odds, right? So before the Kentucky Derby, you might see one horse has great odds, but then everyone else bets on someone else, and it throws those odds off. Greyhound racing is another example. I have family, I guess my mom's side of the family, my aunts and uncles, my grandparents all live in West Virginia, and they have a lot of Greyhound racing tracks there. Um, Sadly, I have gone a few times. They're more entertaining than I would like to admit, but that'd be another form of it. Another form of legalized gambling is state-run lotteries, like the Hoosier Lottery, right? Anything like that. Bingo, which is not just a catchy song, right? But it's the third most popular form of gambling in the U.S. Funny story. So I was in college, and when I was in college, I had a job at Marsh working in the deli, and it was me and a bunch of like really old ladies. Okay, and I shouldn't call them old; they were senior citizen ladies who were working at Marsh. I went to college at Ball State, so these were Muncie locals. Great, they were great people. All right, actually, I used to do stand up comedy, and they would always come to like my shows when I was up in the area. They were just the nicest people. But they finally talked me into going to play bingo with them, and it was it was so much fun. Honestly, um, I didn't know people still smoked as much as they do. Oh my goodness, it was like you can barely see anything over the smoke. But man, these ladies got into it. They were just fighting. It was just crazy. Um, but bingo would be legalized gambling, and then card rooms, so like poker rooms, blackjack rooms, baccarat, any card rooms. And of course, a lot of those now are in casinos because it's big money. Next thing, let me move my picture, put it right here by the cool guys from Pawn Stars. Are usury law. So regulations governing the amount of interest that you can be charged on a loan, right? So it varies from state to state. So in Indiana, we have like a 21% cap on loans under $50,000. And what this means is like when you're buying a car, um, and you have horrible credit, like bankruptcies, you're still not paying any of your bills, have a lot of credit card debt, very low credit score. Um, they might still give you the option to buy a car, but they could charge you 21% for the loan. If that is the case, we don't have you in class today, so I would ask you this in class, but think to yourself, if you are buying a car and the guy comes out and says, "Yeah, we can tell you this car is going to be 21% interest on this loan." Do you want to get a car? Probably not, right? That's a lot of interest. That's a lot of money you're paying. Chances are you just want to either find a lease, buy something very, very, very low money until you can get all that credit, your credit score up, and get a better percentage, right? But in Indiana, the usury law says that loans under $50,000 are capped at 21%. Lender can't recover any interest that exceeds that rate, right? So if they try to charge you more, they wouldn't be able to actually collect whatever is above 21%. Some exceptions are payday loans. So you hear these commercials like, come cash your check now, or we can give you money before you actually get paid, right? Um, they can charge more than that because they're taking a risk on you. I same with pawn shops, right? So if you're pawning something and you're wanting to get money in return, they can typically charge a lot of interest if you do that. Again, your goal in life. Just a little tip: don't ever go for payday loans. Don't ever try to pawn anything, right? Just try to think of other alternatives before that. Ask friends, ask parents for help before you do something drastic like that, because again, it's a slippery slope and you can lose a lot of money. Spend myself over here. So illegal discrimination, right? So being treated differently than someone else because of a protected characteristic. So if you can be discriminated because of age, disability, sex or gender reassignment, your marriage or partnership, pregnancy, race, religion. Those are all protected characteristics. It's illegal to refuse someone to enter a contract or give them negative terms based on these characteristics, right? So that goes with job contracts, real estate. I mean, any contract you would enter, if they discriminate because of these characteristics, it's illegal. So obstruction. So contracts will be void if payment to non-experts to testify. Um, so let me back up for real quick. So actually, this is kind of funny. We're talking about gambling. This shirt is from Vegas. My wife and I went there last year, and I got it at the Black Tap, which is a restaurant inside the Venetian. It's a burger place. It's real famous in New York City. Really good burgers. Best milkshake I ever had. I keep getting off topic. I'm doing this video at like 9, trying to get my kids in bed. It's just crazy times, guys. Crazy times. All right. So obstruction would be like if you are in court and you're trying to make the court case in your favor in an illegal way. That's a good way to compare it. So obstruction. So contracts would be void due to obstruction if you pay a non-expert to testify. So say that you're in court and you're like, Mr. Moore, I'll give you $5,000 if you say you're a doctor and can testify in my favor. And I say yes, right? So if I go to court and do that and they find out I'm lying, which they probably will because I am not a doctor, nor do I really know what I would be talking about, um, I'd get in trouble. You would definitely get in trouble, and the court would rule in favor of the other person. I'm saying with bribe jurors, right? I mean, that's a kind of an obvious one. If you're giving money to juror members to vote in your favor or to say not convict you of something, um, that's obstruction. You're going to get in big trouble. Or compounding a crime. So making an agreement that calls for one party to refrain from informing on or prosecuting an alleged crime in exchange for money or other valuable consideration. So basically, again, just paying people off, right? All those are big no-nos. The big one to look at this one is a competency license, right? So they're mostly used in government contracts. Uh, it's a license stating that the holder is responsible for the purpose of receiving a specific contract. You can't enforce a contract without a license. So again, this is big in government. So when government enters a contract, they rely on a few different things, right? One of them is having an actual competency license, which you would get from the Small Business Association or the Small Business Administration, right? They would look at your background. They would say that you have the credentials to do the certain job. And then when the government is looking to hire that person, they would see that you have the competency licensing and hire you. If you don't, they can hire you, but then again, you can't really enforce a contract without that license. So they would get in trouble and you might not be able to actually get the money that you're owed, even though you entered a contract with them. Another one is a term called marriage negatively. All right, so this basically says you can't make agreements that harm or interfere with a marriage. Contracts are unenforceable. So what this kind of means, all right? So you can't agree to pay someone to marry you, so you become a legal citizen, right? So you'll hear that sometimes that people get married, so they become legal, and that's fine. You just can't pay someone to actually do that, right? You have to have some love in there. Um, Another thing would be like a boss can't pay their assistant to divorce her husband, right? So you can't do that. So those kind of contracts are illegal. Unreasonable restraint of trade. Okay, so these go to antitrust laws. All right, so there's a few different acts that you'll need to know for your assignments and the test. All right, the first one is the Sherman Act. So the Sherman Act kind of protects against monopolization or attempted monopolization. What is a monopoly, right? So that's when a company strives to have all the power, all like the business in one certain area. So you'll hear all the time, like Microsoft, a ton of computer companies, some phone companies as they merge. Um, People saying they're trying to monopolize, right? So the Sherman Act kind of looks at that and prevents companies from taking all that power. The Clayton Antitrust Act is kind of similar, all right? So it protects against fixed or price fixing, which basically goes to discrimination or price gouging, raising the prices so the consumers can't afford to pay it. Um, or only the rich people can, and that the people in the lower class can't afford the same, things that the upper class can. This also allows for labor protests and strikes, right? As long as they're peaceful. So before, you weren't allowed to do that. You just get fired. Now, you're actually allowed to protest and strike without losing your job. The Federal Trade Commission Act, which protects the process of competition for the benefit of consumers, right? So it kind of, again, looks at the Sherman Act, looks at the Clayton Act, and just capitalizes on that, right? It says that, hey, we want a fair process. We want the competition. We know that competition helps the consumers. And the reason it helps the consumers is it ensures prices stay down and quality stays up. There's a video I put in the slides. I won't watch it right now, but I would recommend watching it. It kind of gives you a breakdown of all of these laws and kind of more detail about all of them. All right, so the last one, when courts will enforce an illegal agreement. All right. So if it protects victims, so the blue sky laws, they regulate the offering or sale of securities to protect the public from fraud, um, not of equal part, which is in pari delico. That's when one party acts illegally and the other one doesn't. Right. So they're going to protect the party that acts legally and punish the ones that don't. Rescission prior to the illegal act. So this is where you can rescind and get back consideration. So again, if one party acts illegally and you pay them something, you can rescind that and then get back whatever you paid them if they did something illegal. Indivisible. All right. So this can divide out the illegal part of a contract, and the legal part of the contract may still be valid. So if you're in a longer contract for maybe real estate or whatever, and something in the contract is a no, right? It can't happen. It's illegal. Maybe the parties didn't know it. Maybe a law change, whatever it may be. They can take out that illegal part, but all the rest of the contract may still be valid. So that's something else that the courts can look at. And that is it for 10-1. You have a reteach assignment. You have a critical thinking assignment. If we get to come back to class this week, which I hope we will, because I don't know that I can't see you guys in person for 2 weeks. That would just make me sad. So we will go over this more in class, do some fun exercises. But for today, that is all you have. I hope you guys have a good day. And again, really work on those assignments you may be missing because it's going to help you out, help you grade out in the long run. All right, guys, I'll see you later.